Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven, and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some malicious compliance stories, and our first story of the day is by WFry84. Need me to adhere to the dress code right now? Enjoy the fallout. I was reminded of this story from my work by one of my coworkers. It's been maybe 5 to 7 years since this happened. Where I work, there is a semi-strict dress code that needs to be adhered to so we look presentable when going to customers' houses. The minor details are more or less negotiable depending on who's our manager that day. We have a normal manager we see almost daily, but if he's off or it's a weekend, someone else subs in. The day this happened was a Saturday, and our regular manager was off, so the duty manager for the day happened to be Mr. Hardbutt, whom no one liked, and he made it his life goal to make all the techs miserable. When we walked in the door, we had to pass through the manager's office to get to our meeting area. My coworker Tim, name changed, walked in the door that was to the manager's office with everything looking right on his uniform, but his shirt untucked. The following conversation took place. Mr. Hardbutt says, "Your shirt should be tucked in." Tim says, "Absolutely, and I will do that when I set my gear down and go to the bathroom."
No, you need to show up for work ready to work, not show up and get ready on my time.
Okay, let me set my stuff down and I'll go right to the bathroom and tuck it in for you.
No, you're going to tuck it in right now before you walk another step into my building.
Right now?
Right now.
So my coworker did as instructed, unbuttoned his pants and pulled them all the way down to his ankles and proceeded to smooth out his shirt and then reach all the way down and pull his pants all the way back up and rebutton them. From there, he immediately walked outside and called the HR hotline and told them his manager on duty just forced him to undo his pants and semi-strip in front of him in his personal office and wouldn't allow him to go to the bathroom to tuck his shirt in. That he felt weird and uncomfortable to be around Mr. Hardbutt and didn't know if he had any ulterior motives. None of us are privy to what exactly happened from that phone call on, but we do know that he got laterally moved from being a tech manager to the safety team, where he was no longer in charge of any subordinates. Would you be willing to stand up to a boss like that in order to shut them down and get them in trouble? Or would that be just way too much for you? Because for me, I probably would not do that. Let me know in the comments down below. Having them in that moment tell you to tuck your shirt in and the fact that you have to tuck your shirt into your pants and that whole thing just right there in front of them would be extremely uncomfortable even if you didn't drop your pants. Our next story is by WrongAd2507. Want me to BS a review to get more business? Have fun losing money? Several years have passed since this incident, and the people involved have either forgotten about this or don't lurk around this subreddit. Background: I was working as a contractor for a big firm where clients go to for specific services, and then we are assigned to that company on a subcontractor basis. The firm charges the clients an arm, a leg, and a kidney or two while paying us a tiny percentage of the sales. Business is business, and I can't complain about that. When it's time to renew the contract with the client, every 3 months, we are supposed to write a review about what's going on and what should be done in the next term. Now for the story. I worked on that project for 2 months and I had a very good relationship with the employees and their CEO, and everything was peachy. Until my company wanted the client to pay double for additional services and wanted me to write a bogus review stating that their current situation was absolute crap and they should go for the new and improved plan. Moreover, I was supposed to do it by 7 p.m., 1.5 hours away, and it was my day off. I was in the middle of a trip with friends and I said, "No can do," and hang up. It was Friday. I didn't check my emails until Monday morning. Guess who woke up to 17 emails from the company and 2 from my client? I checked the client's email first, and the CEO had personally emailed me asking what was going on and why was my company pressuring them to sign a new contract when the old one was still active. I didn't say anything and told him that I'll check it out and get back to him. Not a minute passed before I got a call from my team leader.
Why didn't you write the report on Friday?
On my day off?
You should be available whenever we want you to do something.
What if I was sick or in the hospital? What would you have done then?
But you were not, and we expect you to do as we say because you are bound by employee rulebook.
As you may know, I'm not one of your employees but a contractor. We have specific dates and times we work, and you can't just call me on a day off and ask me to work out of the blue. That would be against my contract with your company. By the way, since the client's current contract is still active for a month, the review has to be written after the contract ends, not before. It's even written in the contract you signed off.
I don't care about semantics. Write a review by the end of the day.
I'm not going to BS the review.
You have to do as we say or else you're fired.
Malicious compliance time. He said I had to write the BS review, but didn't mention anything about the real review. So I wrote the real review, and under that I wrote, the review Mr. So-and-so asked me to write, and wrote the BS review. Sent it to the client and CC'd the team leader, all the other contractors, the execs, and anyone who had the faintest idea about the project. I wish I was there to see their faces when they received the email. Best part? They tried to fire me but couldn't due to the terms of the contract, so I had no work but full pay for 4 months. My PC was locked, so I went to the office every day, brushed up my resume, and started sending emails all day while having free coffee and tea. The client I was working for hired me the next week as a freelance consultant, so I was getting double the income, though for 4 months, and stopped going to the company altogether. The CEO was a powerful guy, and he immediately sent an email to all the businesses he knew, and no one had renewed their contract, resulting a net loss of a couple million a year per company. I heard 1 or 2 companies took them to court for falsifying reports, but not sure what happened to them. It's one thing to charge people high prices or whatever. That happens all the time, sure, whatever. But trying to enforce random contractors or employees to write false reviews on things to pressure people into buying double the price of something that they don't even need? You hate to see that kind of shady, underhanded stuff. How could anyone in a good conscience, especially just a lowly contractor, write this review just to try and pressure somebody to give somebody else double the money for no reason? This next story is by Thermal Meltdown. Only 1 drink allowed per visit to the bar without a tip? No problem. Some years ago, my parents and I went on holiday to Tenerife and stayed in an all-inclusive hotel in Las Americas. The reviews were somewhat mixed, but the place looked nice enough on the photos we had seen, and besides that, we were only going to be using the room to sleep in. Everything seemed okay on arrival. The next day we visited the bar in between lounging around the pool. The bartender was friendly and had recognized he hadn't seen us before and welcomed us to the hotel. We got all of our drinks with no issue. The next time I decided to visit the bar solo. This is where the issues began. The bartender kept tapping his tip glass whilst pouring drinks. This guy was about as subtle as a slap to the face. I had a small amount of money with me and assumed that tipping was just an expected cultural thing. Therefore, I crossed his palms with gold, and that was that. Away I went with the multiple drinks I requested. Each time I visited the bar, the bartender couldn't have been nicer. Perhaps too nice. Even if there was a queue of multiple people, he would ask me what my order was before those ahead of me. And of course, I gave him a small tip each time too. Young and naive, I didn't think too much of it. It's worth noting that the bar was only ever staffed by this one guy on his own who seemingly never had time off. We discovered there was a rooftop terrace with a small pool and decided to spend the next day up there. This is where the fun began. There was a bar up there, however it transpired this was paid only and the all-inclusive wasn't allowed to be used there. This meant that anytime we wanted drinks, a 10-minute round trip was necessary to get to the ground floor, walk across to the other side of the hotel to the only all-inclusive bar. The first drinks trip of the day was made by my mother, who arrived back 10 minutes later, rather bemused with only 1 drink. Only 1 drink per visit to the bar, the bartender had informed her. Knowing I'd been the only one regularly tipping, I decided to make my way back there. Multiple drinks? No issue. Also skipped the queue again. Needless to say, we found the situation both comical and infuriating. This gave my dad an idea. He went to the bar, to be told again that only 1 drink was possible per visit. So he did just that, ordered 1 drink, walked outside, put the drink down, queued again, rinse and repeat. The best was yet to come. We had become friendly with a few other families who we joined in the evenings for drinks. We were telling them about this, and they all too were annoyed by the same situation. After all, we're not against tipping, but not every visit when we'd all paid more for the hotel to begin with to avoid having to pay. Cue the malicious compliance. Between the families, there was approximately 10 of us. Fueled by alcohol, we came up with the ultimate power move to get back at the bartender. We waited till there was a big queue for the bar, and all got up and joined the queue. Still stood together and able to chat, this really was of no detriment to our evening. We would get a drink, go to the back of the queue, drink said drink in the queue whilst talking to our newly found friends, and continue to do so for a good hour or so. Man, this bartender was pissed. I wish I could have taken a picture of this guy's face as his self-imposed policy bit him right in the behind. He was huffing, puffing, ranting away in Spanish, which we couldn't fully understand, but it was clear we had ruined his night. The following day, my dad visited the bar and asked for multiple drinks. The bartender simply sighed and complied. The plan had succeeded. It's kind of disappointing to me, honestly, that this bartender was able to impose personal rules and play favorites like that to begin with. Imagine being that person that was waiting in the queue for a while and somebody just strolls up, gets to just completely bypass you, orders multiple drinks and then checks out. Meanwhile, you have to order one drink and you still have to wait. That's not very cool. I don't care how much the person's tipping. This next story is by Nicky Bicky. Want me to write an exam while I'm sick? Alrighty. High School Finals 2013. I fell violently ill about 3 days before the exam started. My mother tried to get them to let me write my exams on other days, but nope. They wanted me to come in sick or not. All my friends were shocked to see me at school with the way I looked. I looked like death. Their words. So we went to write. Following happened. Teachers asked why I was there, and I told them. Coughing up phlegm, by the time exams was finished, the shopping plastic bag was full. Blowing my nose loudly, ran to the toilet to vomit 2 or 3 times. Teachers passing me water and giving me throat sweets. They aren't allowed to. Needless to say, I barely remembered my exam. 2 of the teachers got ill, and 3 of the students sitting around me got ill. After that, they allowed anyone who got ill to write on different days. Although OP should have never have had to have come in the first place, this is the kind of story that makes me hopeful that this pandemic will normalize wearing masks inside when you're obviously not 100%. Obviously, that's still not a guarantee because teachers still have to come in contact with the papers, and although you're wearing a mask, it doesn't automatically mean you're not going to be able to transmit particles, but it would still be a step in the right direction as far as personal safety and caring about the people around you. And masks don't have to be only for diseases that have a higher fatality rate than the common cold. This next story is by ChibiChick27. Partner maliciously complies to my profile pic request. Me, 29-year-old female, and my partner, 28-year-old male, had been together for about 2 years at this point, back in 2017. And he had a penchant for posting Facebook profile pictures that were not him. He'd post a meme or a video game character or something in that nature, primarily because he had so few pictures of himself and also because he was just a little bit of a jokester. Now, I'd taken some nice photos of him and us in those 2 years. So I suggested that his next profile picture, since he was looking to change it, be of something I tagged him in. Of course, I'm thinking it'll be some cute couple photo or perhaps a photo I took of him. Next time I was on Facebook, I saw he'd updated his photo, and it was a picture of 2 pizza pies. We'd gone to this restaurant about 3 months prior, and I tagged each pie with our names to signify who ordered what. I playfully confronted him about it and had to admit that yes, he'd taken my suggestion to the letter. It stayed his profile pic for a year. To be fair, me personally, I'm not that big on Facebook social media type stuff anyways, so I kind of vibe with OP's partner in the way that I don't even want my face in the profile picture. I'd rather have pizza pies or something. Our next story is by 4207. Work in a call center? Need to increase talk time? Call old guys. Ask them about fishing, cars, military politics. Call old ladies. Tell them you're considering kids with your husband or wife. Ask them about their grandkids or kids. Not, where's your grandkid live, but you remind me of my grandma. I bet you're the one your grandkids call when they're unsure of big choices like this. Source: got pulled into a meeting to discuss the fact that despite murdering every other KPI, including upsells NPS, Net Promoter Score, essentially how much they liked you and would recommend the company based on their experience, my average talk time was lower than what they wanted. Got pulled into another meeting at the end of that shift to discuss my 6-hour call with a World War II vet and told to not worry about talk time in the future. Older folks like that have all the time in the world to just chat about whatever, and honestly, they've been through the decades to talk about anyways. So yeah, if you need to burn some time and get some extra talk time in, getting a well-seasoned person going on about their life story or some kind of experience, that'll be pretty effective. And our final story of the day is by Sunstyle. Work in an outbound call center? Need to increase your number of calls? Call people you know aren't home. Inspired by another post in the sub today, I wanted to share a brief bit of advice and a story from when I was early in the workforce. I worked at a job that had sales goals, and we worked from a pool of warm inbound leads, calling people inquiring about our services. The original lead of our department was a good guy, and as long as you hit or surpassed your sales numbers, then nothing else really mattered. At some point, he moved on to a better company and was replaced by a woman that used to run a call center. As such, she started creating strict metrics, like number of calls per day required, etc. Despite me being one of our top salespeople, she didn't like that my number of calls was low every day. My logic was, if I am selling, then I'm on the phone. Many successful sales could take 30 to 60 plus minutes, so in a good day, I might make 8 to 25 calls, whereas they wanted a minimum of 50. My solution was to create a list of people I knew that worked during the day and call their home phone numbers while they were out to pad my numbers and meet the 50 calls per day. I could crank out 50 calls in no time and then do whatever I wanted the rest of the day. New boss was happy. I didn't care to be wasting my time on their dime. Everyone wins, I guess. Company made less money since I sold slightly less. Bosses need to learn to measure the correct quality of work. Otherwise, you just get people wasting time to meet stupid metrics. Well, I think the problem with the lead here coming from a call center is the quality of work is probably different inherently. Most likely don't put in that great of effort. So it would make more sense just to have more calls coming in to increase the chances, whereas something where a proper sales company and not just a call center might have better salespeople or better leads or just a better product that they're pushing regardless. That really hurts them if they can't take the proper time to just do their sales pitch. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like. And if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.